The stranger she helped returned years later. Introduction. When a single act of kindness changes to lives forever. There are moments in life that feel too small to matter. A quick decision, a brief encounter, a stranger you help without thinking twice. At the time, it feels like nothing, just a normal human reaction, just kindness in passing. Then life continues. Bills still come, work still demands attention, problems still refuse to go away. And the memory of that moment slowly fades into the background of everyday life. Because that is how most people experience kindness. They give and forget. They help and move on. They assume nothing will come of it. But life does not forget. Time does not forget. And destiny never loses track of kindness. Because every good act is a seed. Invisible at first, quiet, unnoticed, but never wasted. And sometimes, long after you have moved on, long after you have forgotten, that seed grows into something you never expected. And one day, it comes back to your life, not as coincidence, not as chance, but as a moment that changes everything. This is the story of a woman who helped a stranger one rainy night. And years later, that same stranger returned. But this time, he was no longer the man she once saw. And what he brought back changed her life forever. Chapter 1. In a quiet town called Riverside Haven. In a quiet town called Riverside Haven lived a woman named Sarah. She was not wealthy, not famous, not powerful in any visible way. Just a simple woman trying to live a simple life. She worked as an administrative staff member in a small private office near the town center. Her salary was modest, barely enough to cover rent, food, and basic needs. Every month felt like a careful balancing act. Every expense mattered. Every decision required thought. But Sarah had something that made her different. Not money, not status, but awareness. She noticed people. She noticed pain hidden behind silence. She noticed tired faces that tried to smile through struggle. And most importantly, she cared, even when it cost her nothing to ignore. Sarah lived a routine life. Wake up early, go to work, return home tired, sleep, repeat, day after day, week after week. But inside that ordinary routine, something quietly shaped who she was becoming. A belief, a simple belief that guided her life. If I can help someone, I should. She did not know it yet. But that belief would one day pull her into a moment she would never forget. A moment that began on an ordinary rainy evening and ended in a life-changing encounter she could never have predicted. Chapter 2. The rainy evening that started it all. It started like any other day in Riverside Haven. Work ended late. The sky darkened quickly. And then the rain began. Not light rain, not soft rain, but heavy rain. The kind that floods streets and empties sidewalks within minutes. Sarah left her office and hurried toward her car. She wanted to get home quickly, away from the storm, away from the cold. But as she drove through the dimly lit streets, she saw something unusual. A figure standing still under a broken bus stop shelter. Soaked, shivering, completely alone. People passed him without stopping. Cars moved past without slowing down, as if he wasn't even there. But Sarah saw him, and she could not ignore him. She slowed down, then stopped, and that moment changed everything. Chapter 3. The Stranger in the Rain. Sarah rolled down her window. The man stepped closer. His voice was weak. "I missed my bus. I don't know where I am." He looked exhausted, hungry, lost, like someone the world had already forgotten. Sarah had a choice: to keep driving or to stop her life for a stranger. And after a brief silence, she said, "Get in." The man froze, as if he didn't believe kindness like that still existed. But slowly, he entered the car and sat quietly, not knowing what to expect next. Chapter 4. A Small Act of Kindness. Sarah didn't question him too much. She didn't make him uncomfortable. She simply helped. She bought him food, gave him warm clothing, and gave him small money for transport. The man kept shaking his head. "I can't accept this." But she insisted softly, "Just take it. Be safe." He looked at her for a long moment, as if trying to remember her face forever. Before leaving, he said quietly, "I will never forget this." And then he disappeared into the rain. Chapter 5. Life moves on. After that night, life continued. Work, bills, responsibility, routine. The memory of the strangers slowly faded. Not completely, but enough to become just another moment in the past. Because life has a way of burying small acts of kindness under time. And Sarah never imagined that moment would ever return. Chapter 6. Years of struggle. Years passed. Life became heavier. Financial pressure increased. Her household struggled. Bills piled up. Stress became constant. There were nights she sat quietly in darkness, wondering how everything became so difficult. And in those moments, life felt silent, as if no one was listening. But sometimes, silence is not absence. It is preparation. Chapter 7. The Unknown Call. One afternoon, her phone rang. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. "Hello, is this Sarah?" "Yes." A pause. Then the voice said, "I think you helped me a long time ago." Sarah paused. Something in her chest tightened. Then he said, "The man from the rain in Riverside Haven," and everything stopped inside her mind. Chapter 8. The man she once saved. He began to explain. After that night, his life slowly changed. He found temporary help, then opportunities, then direction, then growth, step by step. Not overnight, but gradually, until he rebuilt his life completely. And through everything, he never forgot her, because that night was the moment everything began. Chapter 9. The Return of Kindness. The man offered her help, financial support, career opportunities for her family, education support for her children, and long-term stability. Sarah refused at first. She said she didn't help for reward. But the man smiled and replied, "I know. That's exactly why I came back. Because real kindness does not die. It only returns in ways we do not expect." Chapter 10. The Realization. That night, Sarah sat quietly, reflecting, thinking, remembering, and she understood something powerful. You never truly lose a kind act, even if it feels forgotten, even if it feels small, even if it feels meaningless. Life keeps it, and one day, it finds its way back. Conclusion. Final message. This is not just a story about helping a stranger. It is a reminder that nothing you do in kindness is ever wasted. Because the world is bigger than what you can see today, and sometimes the person you help in silence becomes the answer to your future prayers. So if you are in a season where your kindness feels unnoticed, do not stop, because life has a way of remembering what people forget. Final line: she helped a stranger in the rain, and years later, that stranger returned, not as a stranger anymore, but as the answer to a kindness she had forgotten.